If you're coming here for an in-depth, historically accurate review, you got the wrong channel. Think of this like a Napoleon review for dummies.
Boats!
This movie is based on real life, so I guess I can't technically say spoilers. Whatever. So Napoleon is the latest movie from Ridley Scott based on the legendary war figure. If you can't tell by the movie title, Ridley Scott is a director who's done a bunch of movies that I'm a fan of, like Alien, Black Hawk Down, American Gangster, Gladiator. He's done a ton of great and classic movies, and at 85 years old, he's still pushing and showing that he has more to offer. Gladiator being one of my favorite movies by him, and we once again see him work with the legendary Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin is such a great actor. I can't wait to see his new Joker film despite it being a musical, but Joaquin's performance in this movie was great in my opinion, even though there wasn't a single hint of French in this. Some people might be upset at that. To me, Joaquin just sounded like Joaquin always does. My boo, Vanessa Kirby, was also in this movie, and she gave a great performance as the wife and lover of Napoleon named Josephine. I wasn't expecting this movie to be so focused on their relationship and the love life of Napoleon, but the on-camera chemistry between Vanessa and Joaquin was really good in my opinion. I mean, they're both amazing actors. And while I did like both of them in this movie, I did not need to see Joaquin trying to blow her back out. I did not need to see that. But going into this movie, I knew absolutely nothing about Napoleon, which I'm not embarrassed to say, but I saw some reports that people in France were upset about the historical inaccuracies in the movie, and Ridley Scott gave a hilarious response saying that the people in France don't even like themselves. So I watched the movie and I came home and I read some articles comparing about what was historically accurate and what wasn't. I might be in the minority. I don't care. The only things I knew about Napoleon was he was French, a great war leader, and obviously Napoleon complex. They say in real life he did deal with insecurities, and I thought it was interesting how the movie showed that. Doing research, they say that they think Napoleon was about 5'6", and the only time in the movie off the top of my head that they put an emphasis on his height was when they were in Egypt and he stood on top of that box to see the corpse. That was it. Outside of that, you can see his insecurities in his relationship, how others viewed him, how he wanted to be seen as this great leader, and at times you can see he was clearly unsure of himself. My theater burst into laughter when I think he was talking to the leader of Britain or something like that, and he was like,
"You think you're so great because you have boats!"
Also, in the last scene of the movie when he's talking to the two little girls about who burned down Moscow, he takes credit for it and one of the little girls corrects him and says that Russia themselves did it, and then he started throwing grapes at her. Hilarious. I was surprised at just how funny some of these scenes were. Was not expecting that. The battle scenes in this movie is incredible. I'm talking about some of the best that I've seen this year. In the first 15 minutes of the movie, we get a battle scene and this horse catches a cannonball to the chest like Hans Ward and is completely blown open. The cinematography and production in this is amazing. The battle in the snow that was shown in the trailer is one of the greatest things I've ever seen, and just seeing Napoleon taking command and the strategy he was using was so cool to see. You got body parts flying everywhere, you got cannonballs crushing the ice as soldiers fall into the water. Oscar-worthy content. The battles in this are clearly the best part of the movie, and that's going to be the thing that people talk about the most. Even if we didn't get fully fleshed out scenes, I just wanted more battles. Like the scene in Egypt where he shot the cannons at the pyramids, we didn't get a fully fleshed out battle, but we got to see the strength and the power of Napoleon's army. I wanted more of that. So instead of us getting more battle scenes, we get more relationship stuff between Napoleon and Josephine. I wasn't expecting that. Ever since I've been doing movie reviews, I purposely don't do research and I try to avoid trailers because I just want to accept the movies for what they are, but I actually ended up liking the dynamic between Napoleon and Josephine. I just wasn't expecting it. Napoleon and Josephine's relationship is a definition of toxic between her cheating on him, both of them telling the other person that they own them, the dynamic of not being able to have a child, and then their forced divorce. I had no idea who Josephine was. I've never heard of her, so I had no idea where that storyline was going. So while I wasn't expecting a relationship drama, I did enjoy that aspect of the film. So what didn't I like? This movie felt too short and too long, if that makes sense. The pacing in this film just felt off to me at some moments, and I found it interesting after the movie that I saw on Apple TV is going to be a 3.5-hour version of the film. Depending on what they do with that, I feel like that hour can help bridge the gap in some cases. Ridley Scott said that he considers his true director's cut the version we got in the cinemas, so I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. So we got to see a lot of the major milestones in Napoleon's life, but in some cases I feel like we just jumped to get there with no real context. Like some of the characters in this movie, they just completely disappear. So I'm hoping with that extra hour, in some capacity, they're able to fill in those gaps. And while I did enjoy the relationship between Napoleon and Josephine, I wanted more of just Napoleon. Like, bro, I get you love your woman, but god damn, this movie is literally just war and Josephine. That's it. I don't feel like it was ever a point in this movie where we got to actually learn about Napoleon the man. And once again, I'm saying that as a guy who knows absolutely nothing about him. I was joking earlier, but I'm being dead serious. The sex in this movie was so unnecessary. Like, I get wanting to show two people in love, but we don't need to see that. As of this recording, it looks like Napoleon is going to make about $79 million around the globe in its opening weekend. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a critic score of 61% and a fan rating of 59%. It's hilarious because I've been criticized in the past because I've killed movies that other people have loved, but in this case, it's the opposite. I'm going to give this movie a 7, which is a good on my scale. The pacing is definitely an issue in this film as it seemed to cram a lot into this movie. I also wanted to learn to see more of just Napoleon himself. A lot of the bad reviews that I've been seeing online were people complaining about the historical inaccuracies and saying how Napoleon would never act like this. They made Napoleon a clown. I'm not a history major. I don't care about none of that. I enjoyed this film. I knew absolutely nothing about Oppenheimer and I gave that a 10 out of 10 and that's my favorite movie of the year. I can't tell you what actually happened. I can't tell you what didn't happen. All I know is that when I left that movie theater, I was like, damn. This is a great movie. So as a person who doesn't know anything about Napoleon, I don't know what's accurate. I don't know what's inaccurate. I just enjoyed the movie. But thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new here. What are your thoughts on this movie? Did you feel like it was too much Josephine? Do you care about the historical accuracies? Or are you like me and you just enjoyed this movie? Let me know in the comment section below. Love you guys. Tell someone you love them. Until next time, see you in the next life.